So the bye week for the Washington Commanders is officially in the books after today's action has finally concluded. The Washington Commanders' playoff chances just got insanely easier after today's action. Let's talk about it. YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We have the Washington Commanders video. And in today's video, I'm coming on here with the video where we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders playoffs chances and how I personally feel that they got that much easier. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos like this to the channel. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate it if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Let's get straight to it. So the Washington Commanders was off this Sunday, and it was a really good bye week. I got to watch a lot of good football, and for the most part, for the teams that the Washington Commanders needed to lose, it happened. On Thursday night, you needed the Detroit Lions to take care of business versus the Green Bay Packers, and they did in a fashion where it was a very, very good, entertaining, and close game, as often you expect from a division game of two really good teams. Then on Sunday, the one and only really game that you really needed to pay attention to was the Falcons and Vikings. And the Vikings took care of business as the Falcons, they plummeted. Because if you be honest, the Falcons were the only team that was somewhat on your coattail. Now, I will say this, the LA Rams, vicious victory at home today versus the Buffalo Bills. And that is a team that seems to be finding their mojo. But that is a team that I'm not necessarily worried about because I feel as though that they are more worried about their division than they are a wild card position. And I will say this, the Washington Commanders, the reason why I feel as though their playoff chances has gotten insanely easier is because the teams they need to lose lost, and their schedule is one of the most winnable schedules left out of all teams that are behind us or in front of us. The Washington Commanders obviously faced the New Orleans Saints this Sunday. Guess what? They lost Taysom Hill for the rest of the year just a couple days ago, and then today their starting quarterback Derek Carr, I believe, hurt his arm, and I think he left in the cast. So he's more likely than not going to be out next week. So that's another victory that the Washington Commanders have to take advantage of. And then you move on to 9-5. And then you go down to the Packers game. You're now one. After the Packers lost on Thursday, you're now one game behind the Packers. Now let me go ahead and pull up the playoff bracket for you so you can actually see exactly what I am talking about here. Let me go ahead and try to move my face over there. We go. We're good. You can actually see what I'm talking about here. So obviously the Washington Commanders are in the 7th hole right now, and we're 8-5. All we have to do is worry about us, to be honest with you, right? Because the team behind us is the LA Rams. Again, very, very, very good victory on Sunday versus the Buffalo Bills, but they're still in this 8 hole. If anything, they have their best chance at getting this, jumping up from 8 to 3 if they can pass Seattle. However, the wild card is not really in play for them unless Green Bay or Washington lose, and I honestly don't see Washington losing any of these games. Honestly, the last 4. The only one that you could say you could lose is Philly, but you still have a probability of beating the Philadelphia Eagles team that, in my opinion, is really good, but they are just finding ways to win. They're not really impressive victories. They're just finding ways to win, and I think they're very, very capable of being beat. Now, with the Washington Commanders schedule coming up, it's obviously New Orleans, then it's Philly, then it is the Falcons and Dallas to close it off. Those are very winnable games. Again, 3 out of 4, more likely than not, will get you to 11-6. And LA, they would have to win out to be 11-6. And let's actually take a look at the the Rams' upcoming schedule to get a better understanding at what they have coming up on the horizon. Again, I don't want to discredit the Rams at all because that victory today was very, very impressive. But I think they're more worried about the NFC West than they are the wild card. So here's the Rams schedule here. And as you can see, Let me go ahead and pull it up for you. They have a division game versus the 49ers. Quick turnaround Thursday Night Football. This is a very important game for both teams. As we know, both teams are in the NFC West, and both teams are very much alive in that division. Now, obviously, the 49ers have an 8% chance of making the playoffs, right? But again, you never know what can happen. They could win, go to 7-7, and then Seattle could lose. They go to 8-6, and then so you've seen crazier stuff happen. Until you're mathematically eliminated, you're not eliminated. So the 49ers, to my understanding, has all that they need to play for. So this is a very big game for the Rams, because if the Rams, the 49ers are at home. So if the Rams go out there and lose, they're 7-7, and they're probably cooked, right, when it comes to making the playoffs. And then let's go ahead and take a look at who else. Let's go take a look at Green Bay's schedule, because in my opinion, that's what I'm shooting for. I know Washington has an opportunity to get the 7th seed, and that and all means I want to just get in. I don't care if it's the 7 or the 6 seed or whatever it is. I want to get in regardless. But with the Packers losing to Detroit, we're one game behind Green Bay. So if they lose to Seattle on Sunday Night Football, and we find a way to beat the Saints, we're going to move to 9-5, and they're going to move to 9-5, and we're going to be tied for that 6th seed after next Sunday. I don't necessarily know who gets the tiebreaker. I gotta do more research on that. On that front right there. But this is what I'm worried about. I'm not really worried about LA because they're still playing catch up. All we gotta do is take care of our business. And again, I already rattled off our schedule. Banged up New Orleans Saints team. Then after that, you got a very good Philadelphia Eagles team that I think is due for a loss, and a very good team that I think we can beat. Then after that, you got a Falcons team that is real, and Kirk Cousins is playing his worst football at the worst time possible. I think you can beat them. And then you got a Dallas team that you owe one to. So I don't see this Washington Commanders team losing, but potentially one more game, if that. But I still think we can finish undefeated. This Packers team, they have the Seattle Seahawks. That is a very tough game. They had an impressive victory, dominant victory versus the Cardinals, and they always have very, very good historic matchups. That's gonna be a good one on Sunday. Then after that, the Packers, they then face the New Orleans Saints. I believe that's gonna be a victory. Obviously, with Derek Carr more likely not gonna be out, that's gonna be a victory for the Packers. Then they got the Vikings. That's a game that they could very well lose. Let me go ahead and look at their first matchup this season. I forget how that one played out, but I want to say the Vikings did win that one. Yeah, so the Vikings did win by 2. So they have a very, very losable game this one, and this one's at home too. Sam Darnold again today won me over. I'm not gonna lie to you. For this whole season, I have been like not a Vikings hater, but I just haven't been a real believer in Minnesota. But after today's performance, Sam Darnold has won me over. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. So this is a very losable game to me. And then on the Bears game, I don't think the Bears are gonna lose that game. I'm not even going to know if the Packers are going to play their starters, because they could have a wild card spot clinched at this point, so they may not even play Jordan Love or the starters, depending on how the seeding goes. Whether you're playing for 7 or 6 or you have one locked up, they may not, but I think they will, because I think we're going to be fighting for that 6 or 7 seed, and the seeding is very important if you ask me, because if you're Washington, instead of having to go on the road and face a division opponent, Philly, who is a very good team, and again, I'm not scared to face Philly at all, but you would much rather have your chances with Seattle than you would Philly in the wild card round. So seeding is very important. And if you ask me, Lee, and looking at this schedule, the Packers have 2 losable games left on their schedule, starting with next Sunday versus the Seattle Seahawks. Washington, on the other hand, have 1 losable game. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and act like we can't lose every single game, because we can. Anybody can lose any game any given Sunday. That's obviously the name of the game, and that's football. But if we're talking about realistically, and we're talking about a team that's looking to make the playoffs and actually make some noise in the playoffs, that you can ill afford to lose to teams like New Orleans, teams like Dallas again, and teams like Atlanta. You gotta win those games. So Washington has just 1 game, I believe, that you can lose. Again, not trying to discredit Atlanta. They were a good team. They were 6-3 at one point, but they're playing their worst football at the worst time possible for trying to make a playoff push. So I think they're reeling, and I think Washington could take advantage of that team losing how they are and in the fashion that they are, and we could be looking up, and Washington could not only make the playoffs but could jump up to this 6th seed, and this is what I'm shooting for. I don't know about y'all. I mean, look, let me just make it clear again. I want to get in. I don't care if it's 7 or 6. I want to get in. But I'm shooting for this 6 seed now because this has now became a reality for the Washington Commanders. And it starts next Sunday. Well, actually, it started on Thursday. Shout out to the Lions. Lions beating the Packers, that started that on Thursday because now this has became a reality because now you're 1 game behind Green Bay. Again, you go to 9-5 on Sunday. They go to 9-5 after losing to Seattle on Sunday. You're now tied for the 6th seed, and who knows? We may even get the tiebreaker. I'm not sure because I don't know how it will work. I don't know if it's gonna go by conference losses, and if I could look at Green Bay's losses, they got 1 to Detroit. That's one NFC lost. Let's see what else they have. Oh, they have 2 actually to Detroit. So that's 2 NFC losses right there. And then their other 2 losses. Let's see. They lost to Minnesota, so that's 3 NFC losses right there. And then they lost to Philadelphia to start the season off. So that's 4 NFC losses right there. So let's actually take a look at Washington's 5 losses. I can name them off the top of my head. So I know we lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to start off the year. So that's 1 NFC loss. Then our second loss was against we lost to Philly. That's 2 NFC losses. Then we lost to Dallas. That's 3 NFC losses. And then we lost to the Steelers. And then obviously I'm missing one. Let me see. Before I look it up, let me see if I could remember. I can't remember off the top of my head who that other loss was to. I know it was one of those losses during the 3-game skid. Steelers, the Eagles, and Ravens. There we go. Ravens. I didn't have to look it up. Ravens. So we got 3 NFC losses. They would have 4 NFC. They have 4 NFC losses already. So if we win on Sunday and they lose on Sunday, we get that tiebreaker. Now think about it. So this game this Sunday is that much more important because you take even though you have the same record, you would take that lead based off of conference record. If you're Washington. So very, very important, and I think our path just got that much easier. Shout out to Detroit, shout out to Minnesota, for taking care of business, and hopefully Seattle can take care of business next week. Because if they can do that, not only do they get a step closer to locking up the West, they help your boy, will help us out by allowing us to hold on to that 6th seed. I'm telling you, because I have a much better confident feeling with going to Seattle round 1 than going to Philly. Let's save Philly for the divisional round. You know what I'm saying? Save them for the division round. I don't want them right off the rip. You know, I'm not ducking nothing. If that's the matchup, cool. Let's do it. Round 3. But I would like to get a win, a potential win. I don't want to just discredit Seattle like we're going to beat them and they just suck. But I have a better feeling that we could beat Seattle round 1 than Philly. And I would like a higher chance to get our first playoff victory. And then we get ready to go into the link. You know, either way we go, it's going to be a tough road because we're going to have to go on the road throughout the whole playoffs. But it's going to be a good experience nonetheless. And we have to get there first. But the path to get there is very, very easy. You got 4 winnable games, 3 games you should win. And the team behind you and the Rams is the only team that threatens you. But I think they're more worried about the NFC West crown. And if you look at their percentage of winning or making the playoffs right now, it is sitting at a 30%. So ours is an 80. So again, all we got to do is take care of our business and focus on us. They're having to play the schedule game. If we're being honest, they're having to play the schedule game, looking at Washington. Washington could potentially lose to Philly, or they could potentially lose to blah blah blah. They're playing that schedule game with not only us but also the Seattle Seahawks. We don't really have to play the schedule game, but for the sake of the video, I decided to do that and break it down for you all. So there you have it, man. Again, Washington's path to the playoffs is very, very simple. I apologize if you couldn't really see me. But, man, all we got to do is take care of our business, y'all. It's as simple as it gets, and it's as easy as it gets. We continue to win. We're in, and we can get as high as the 6th seed by next Sunday if we win and Seattle take care of the business versus Green Bay. So with that being said, as always, me and boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Want to roll to 8,000 subscribers. So I'd be greatly appreciated if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. See y'all later. I'm out. Peace.